for example, is a big one. The Beta Squad, the Sidemen, stuff like that. AMP with the US, like having brands see the value in a Kai Cenat and his entire team and foreign investments like that, and also seeing that from creators like us and saying, hey, what other creators can we start doing something like this with? I think folks aren't there yet, and I think even like thinking about brands, I'm like, what company can I look to say, hey, we want to create this type of show, we just need the funding for it. But I don't think folks are there yet. I wish they were, because there's so much untapped potential there for sure.
Anyone else, like, are you like, no, I don't think I want investment, I kind of want to, or yeah?
It's tough because there's certain things that you want to do, a project that you're thinking about, but the people you're trying to get investment for don't see it. So what I found that worked for me is having your sponsor there. You know, the saying is, no matter if you do good in the world, it'll come back to you. I think I found that working by accident too as well, because I ran from Los Angeles, California to New York City, and my also an opportunity. So they did donate to me, but the donation wasn't for a cause. So I don't know how they do that with their finances, but I'm sure there was also like, okay, not only we're helping for a good cause, but they're definitely also getting something out of it. So to get an investment, when I say it, I guess, if you have to do something that's not about you, you'll end up getting the investment. But not that I made a lot of money off of this in a way, not like physical money, but the fact that I did that, it wasn't because I got paid to do it, but the opportunity that I got because I did that ended up being my investment, I guess. So going out there, doing something for something bigger than yourself, I think that would be the way to get your investment, because I've tried other ways, it wasn't happening.
I really agree with you. I think one of the biggest projects, I wouldn't use my money to like renovate a house. I mean, I would if I did have the money, but it was a brand. LG, they basically just give us like, I learned that if you're asking for help, also think about it from the perspective of the person you're asking. What is in it for them? Maybe you don't just think about yourself, just think about like they themselves, like what would they gain from something like this? So yeah, I think that's just what I would like to add.
All right, cool.
In the US, I was working at KFC. At least I was making minimum wage. In Mali, there is no opportunity to make it minimum wage. So they know that I make content, but they don't have access to. I know we say here in the US, we're so privileged, we said, hey, all you need is your phone. But the phone that they have in Mali, it's like a knock.
With the minister, actually, the minister of the creative economy in Nigeria, and seeing stuff like that happen, I think it's also because of the boom. In Nigeria, we have like a very large music market, or the numbers anyway. Music, movies, nobody really cares about what I do, to be honest. Like I make videos and I'm teaching people stuff. Yeah, nice. You have a like huge entertainment market, and the minister was like, all of you come together, and I was there among like all these celebrities and musicians. I was like, okay. I think that they are noticing now, and I think that our voices are very important, and it makes sense for us to champion the right causes, because we shouldn't think about it just for us. We should think about it for the next, 10, 20 years. Hollywood is Hollywood because of the people who were there before them. I'm really fascinated by how, they're able to build such a value. Don't just think of yourself, think of like the future. And I'm really happy that we have like a minister for that space. I got to speak with her. So I just wanted to say that I got to speak with the minister.
I think a big thing for me is respect. And that might seem like very frivolous, but it really truly is like respecting the craft that it is. We're so used to hearing like, actresses and musicians and all that stuff, but creators are like, it's just a creator. I feel like if you put up your phone and you just record your videos, but the impact of the creator economy cannot be oversold. We are here for a reason. Like, we're present. The income, the brand awareness, it's been here for what, almost 7, 8 years now that we're seeing it. And I think the US is currently like showing, the government at least is now showing more respect to that with the media passage and the DNC and so on. But even within the continent, having that respect there, when you're at events, understanding that, yes, I'm vlogging with my camera, but if that vlog is Ronaldo is on YouTube, his team sees the impact of having that direct relationship with the audience. I wake up in the morning and I'm posting, and folks are bought into my content for that reason. Like the government, to even reach folks outside of just coming to events like this. Like, we're here, we're gonna be posting for our followers. They're gonna now know what Gabby is, right? That impact cannot be oversold, and I think I want that respect more for creators, because we work hard for it. We honestly we've earned it, right? In so many ways. the amount of hats we're wearing to just show our passion for a lot of things that we do.
Right.
And are there collaboration opportunities? I mean, we've talked about like being at Gabby. Anything else that you guys think creators can do with government officials or just government agencies in general that can help foster kind of that deeper understanding, that respect, you know?
Like very important, like it's very useful for that. That's just like one example I can think of right now, but I mean we have to like see the value that creators can bring. So yeah, I feel like there needs to be definitely way more collaborations between institutions and creators.
And I think just access to your audience, right? So I don't know if Dan is in the room, right? When we told Gabby we were bringing creators, they were just super excited. Right?
Nice.
They were super excited because they were like that's access to a whole new audience, young audience that Gabby naturally wasn't reaching, right? So access to your audience and doing stuff with you guys helps them reach more people.
Yeah, exactly. Like our audience is gonna know like now what Gabby is basically. Like if they didn't know.
I had my best friend actually text me. I didn't even answer. He saw my Instagram post and he's like, "What is that?" So I have to go back and explain to him. But without the power of social, you're a lovely country for sure.
It's beautiful,
Yes.
so welcome.
Me
Yeah.
too, actually. Anyone else? Anything else?
Do I need to mention that State Department? I think it's evident, to be honest. The thing is, we are creators, we have voices, and we have trust from the audience. People like to hear from people, and we make long form videos, and they feel like they kind of know us because they've spent time with us. It's the thing she was talking about, like the community, and they feel like they kind of know your preferences and things you like, and they kind of like what you do and like how you present it, how you tell that story. The government, sometimes we don't like them. Sometimes we like them too, and they are doing stuff that needs to be known. And like last week, I was just saying that I went to like NASA, Cloudflare.
Being delusional right now, but you just have to believe it or it doesn't work. So it's like if I had 1 million subscribers right now, I would be posting like maybe at 2 times a week or whatever I can do. I would be doing that, but if I didn't, I wouldn't. So I'm like, I'll make myself believe that I have 1 million subscribers right now, and I would do the exact same things. I would like wake up, do my videos, edit my videos, and like just do what I have to do, and it will actually, like delusion actually works. So
Anything else on collaboration?
I think one of my biggest things right now, my goals for the next year, is to hopefully build that bridge between the diaspora and the continent, especially with YouTube creators. So like, what does it look like for a Shanks Comics in Nigeria to come to America and create with like creators here, right? And what does that bridge look like? I think that's one of the biggest things. Like, we already see it with music. Why can't we see it with the creator economy? And how can we start creating that for ourselves? How can we see ourselves in this way, basically? So I love it. I think a lot of my stuff with content is collaboration. I think you go, what's that African proverb? You go faster.
If you want to go fast, you go long. You want to go far, you go
far. Well, I think that's what it really is. And it can be hard because you have to show your value, right? To other people to say, hey, come here, let's be bought in together, let's create this. And especially within the American sort of like capitalist ideals, like everyone is, I spoke to a lawyer, made sure they understood what the creator economy was, and now we understood when to get an LLC for tax purposes, making sure that even my agent is reading all of this information. I also have a lawyer for that. But yeah, I think lawyering helped, and also like understanding that value, especially as a Black woman in America. A lot of times you're offered 0.00% of what their budget looks like, and you have to fight for yourself because you need to understand your own value. And a lot of times, my mom, if your hand isn't shaking, when you're writing that email out saying to that brand, I want this amount, you're too small. You need to go bigger. You need to be terrified of that offer in that email, because that's when you know if you're about to offer, if you're about to actually get your money's worth and your value. But then one of my biggest things was also like valuing myself. So I do have an LLC. I started out like a year after I started content. I was making enough money to where I wanted to make sure I was protected with taxes. I have a entertainment lawyer as well, because it just helps me.
Somebody email and you say, I'm going to forward to my agent, and then they see that you have a representative, they take you 10 times serious. And then the budget, and I got thinking, okay, I was going to get this X amount of money, but now with an agent, they triple, even though they're getting a percentage, but they triple. I'm paying them, but without them thinking, oh, they're taking a certain percentage, I wouldn't get anywhere where I was at. So having someone look out for you, brands start taking you serious, and they know that they can't manipulate with you. They know that somebody's looking out for you too as well. So having a representative, lawyer, and protecting yourself from Uncle Sam. You gotta pay your taxes. You better have an LLC and you better pay it quarterly because you pay some fees if you're late.
So maybe from the Nigeria POV, like being in Africa.
I mean, like, yeah.
Is it a different thinking?
I have everything, man. I have to have it because I have to pay all the everything. It's, I think it's really different in Nigeria.
Especially as women, right? And I want to push that back, right? I want that to stop because our voices deserve to be heard. The reasons why our stories aren't being told right now is because they were silenced in the first place. So when you are thinking of starting, start. Like, people want to see that process. The biggest thing for me in my journey is the fact that I just posted about me being here and my followers are saying, we remember when you started your degree when you moved to America. We remember when you talked about finishing and hating like that exam you took in college. Like, they're telling me they've been on this journey with me. And so the impact of where I am today can be seen, and that story can be heard clearly because I documented it. And so there is no other you in the world, right? You are the only one that's you. And so you'll be doing, honestly, you're doing people a disservice because you should be documenting, you should be posting, right? So I really think you should start. I think that's the beauty of it. Like, start the video with, I don't know what I'm doing, right? Or you guys, in a year, I'll have a fancy camera, so now I'll start with this.
Mombasa, Kenya. It's a long story, but I am an Emmy Award-winning filmmaker.
Nice.
And 20 years ago, I had this crazy idea that I would become a filmmaker and a curator in the UN. So I'm really at the forefront of bringing in musicians, poets, filmmakers, etc. Had a great career. I get paid to travel, do good work, elevate stories about amazing people all over the planet. Lately, I've been really frustrated because, for example, you all know the Lions Creativity Festival. So they launched a Creator's Pass for the first time, and I got excited. I was like, oh, I'm a creator. I'd love to go check out, apparently, the most creative festival there is. But as they started reviewing what I did, they're like, oh, this is actually for creators who sell things. Right? And I'm like, well, I do sustainability. Like, I'm for people in the planet, and I'm not.
And impact creators, whatever you're sharing, whatever you're amplifying is directly, helping that cause too. So I see folks who work with NGOs, who do nonprofit work, who do climate activism, who are speaking at the UN, who are meeting up with different brands. I also know creators now who might have started as like, a fashion creator and want to do more sustainability on that. So they're partnering and consulting with bigger brands, like, the ones who do fast fashion to try to like limit that as well. So that is something that they're able to share. It's also impact the growing economy.
We have one more question. Sorry. There are many questions.
Anyone else? Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Donald, and I am a filmmaker and the founder of a creator support agency called The Random Creator. And I want to tell a quick story before I ask my question, because I moved to America in 2016 to do my master's at the New York Film Academy. And I made my first short film festival, and right after that, the pandemic happened. And I'm a student of YouTube. I'm so passionate about YouTube. I work closely with Sophie. And my question, because I was also in 2016 very fortunate to be a music video director, and I worked alongside Burna Boy and directed and produced a lot of music videos. And I think when we think about how big the industry has been for music, one of the things that the artists did was invest a lot of money, right? Like, we were spending $60,000, $50,000 per video, even though the artists weren't necessarily making that kind of money back. So, and right now with my creator support agency, I only hire from Africa. So a lot of my video editors, graphic designers, creative writers, they're all coming from Africa. So my question for you guys is, what are your thoughts on support of aspiring creators, which we have talked about? They were all aspiring creators before they became career creators. But it's a big part and a big industry when we're thinking job creation, expansion, growing GDP, and I call that the creator industry. Because these are people who, not everyone wants to be in front of the camera, but they're the people who are gonna make what they're trying to do happen. So my question for you guys is, because of the gap that exists, right? Bridging connectivity, lack of internet, for growing a business, just like myself, I'm running my business at pretty much close to a loss because I want to make sure my employees are empowered. They have all the resources that they can use to be able to compete on a global scale. what do you guys do to invest back into your content? Because you say you have 5 employees, right? I know what Sophie's doing. What are you guys doing more? Because I feel like because of the lack that we have, because of where we come from, we need to fight. We need to pour.
You take a typography course, then you take a color theory course, then you take a video editing course, and you take a certification course by Adobe. There's Brain Buffet. They do this course and they also help you get certified as a video editor. So I take them through all of that, and and I don't care how long it takes, but when they are better, they are actually very good. And all 5 of them are very good. Like, I'm not as good as them anymore. And I used to be the one that, was that. So I think investing in training is important, even though, just like I said, you shouldn't do this just because of yourself. Like, the ecosystem will definitely benefit. And my dream is, I would want all these other guys, when they leave, to start their own thing and become big, maybe even bigger than me. I don't care, but there's one person who left my company and is working with Adobe as well.
Nice.
So he's like amazing. He has like 100,000 followers. And
Where it's for everything. If someone needs food, we have it. Clothes, or they need cars or bikes, we have it. So it's not just for like one specific thing. That's been my ultimate dream. But you can provide that now, but can you allow them to do something for themselves? So the nonprofit I ran across the country for, they're giving shoes to people, but they're also teaching them how to resell those shoes, like washing it, like especially in Haiti, and then reselling it in the market where they can make some profit. So now you got me thinking, it's not just about having a nonprofit to provide people health, but give them a career where they can lift themselves up. You know, what's the thing? Teach a man how to fish and survive. Me from there.
There goes another one.
Sort of like push the question also back to like from now till X, Y, and Z time, this amount of money is coming in. I can invest in an editor, I can invest in a writer, I can invest in being able to own and sell what I have to offer too, right? Okay, if I know I'm going to start doing this for the 4 years, 5 years that I've been doing YouTube, and that took me a long time to get to, and I want to sustain that, add more editors and build a team around me, but that also comes from investment. I think the influencer industry is also really glamorized, right? It's like, oh, you have 100,000 followers, that means you have $100,000. It's not true. No, we all wish it, right? And I think that is also what I'm hoping to push from a lot of brands to see, like, there is opportunity to grow this economy. If you're able to, invest.
So the editors, right?
Yeah.
The graphic designers, the video cameramen, like it's also all those other people, and they make up the creative economy, because without, like, and we say this a lot in music, right? I look after music for YouTube for Africa, and we say for an artist to be successful, they need a great team of people around them, whether
Yes.
that's a manager, a lawyer, director,
Yes.
because if they don't have that team, and you would see it, right? You see the difference between an artist that's really talented but hasn't blown, and an artist that is, talented, but like, you're like, how are they like blowing up so much? That's because they have a great structure and a great system around them. So when people are thinking about the creative economy, like, you don't have to be the one in front of the camera. You can be the editor, you can be the videographer, and at YouTube, what we try to do is enable, we call them behind the camera. It's like enable that ecosystem. Like, how do we make sure that we're providing training and opportunities and fun?
Economy, and I just wanted to add 2 things. The cultural creative economy is globally $3 trillion US. Africa derives only 3%. Beneficiation needs to happen on the continent. You get stars, and it's important that you're global. But it's a $3 trillion sector. It's cut up into fashion, music, art, creators, as you're called, but it's a broad economy. There are museums, and the Benin Museum is being built, and there's stories to be told. So I really love the question that how do we structure ourselves so that beneficiation actually grows on the continent, and the GDP contribution by the cultural creative economy in totality is seen by governments. In South Africa, I was told by a minister, which is really hard to believe, and I'm trying to research it, that the creative economy is starting to edge closer to agriculture in contribution to GDP. But there are no metrics. The World Bank and all these people are not capturing that.
Point for people to be like more interested or have a renewed interest in African cultures. My question is just for you all. How has your culture impacted your experience as a creator? So specifically any advantages or challenges, whether it's kind of standing out or having a unique perspective amongst a really dense population of creators. What changes have you seen recently with this renewed interest in African culture, and how do you think creators can maybe take advantage of those global trends?
Anyone wants to start?
I
feel like I'm from Ethiopia, so there aren't really a lot of creators, or it's like, I don't know, people like comment and be like, wait, she's Ethiopian, why is she posting? Is it like, they'll tag their Ethiopian friends and like, look at this Ethiopian girl like posting, like who does she think she is, like things like that. Like, well, what does that have to do with that? But anyways, so like the culture itself, I feel like you just have to ignore.
Me in the diaspora, I'm seeing them, engage with them, inspired by it. I think that connection is what's important to me, and that's what it keeps growing. And I want more creators in that aspect to connect that dot too. So even being here and like, saying, I live in New York, but I'm able to, connect with my folks on the continent. It's important to have those conversations, that discourse, because the culture is shifting. Folks are looking at Africa now and saying, what's happening? What's next? And we have the ability to bridge that gap and be the voices for those on the continent, but also here, because we're in the US, right, for the most part. So it's also helpful speaking to have that narrative.
Yeah, when I was in Mali 2018, a year into running, I'm walking out with my short shorts and the local are insane. What is this guy doing? It's like the culture is insane. But I said, if I was on a soccer field, you wouldn't say the same thing. I'm just technically doing the same thing. Instead of running around in the field, I'm going on a longer run. And then when I went back this time, it was a lot easier. Even my dad, I'll pick up a camera. I can see my dad smiling in the background. The recent video I did, and then I'm like, a few years ago.
As a Black woman in America, but dynamics between husband and wife, or mostly parents and their children, and the similarities of growing up in LA.
I think comedy is a universal love language. That's why I was like, what kind of content do you do? Because I feel like that's a bridge in itself, right? Like if you're going to the continent, being specific about where you're going, but enjoying that, embracing that. I love to push the idea that the Black diaspora as a whole, right? The continent, the Caribbean, America, Black Americans, all of that stuff across the board. There is such a value in finally someday soon being one and united across the board, because I think once we get there, that impact will be endless. So conversations like you're having now, of course they're interested. Of course they want to laugh too, right? It's not a they or an other, it's just who we all are. Like we relate to a lot of our shared experiences because we all definitely have shared experiences. So the beauty of that is harnessing that. Like everyone wants to laugh.
Thank you so much. I'm Dan Thomas from the United Nations. I've worked at the United Nations doing comms for 24 years. When it started, we were trying to get the BBC and broadcasters interested in the UN mission. Now, we want you guys to come and be interested in what we're doing, come and report on what we're doing. You have audiences, you have a unique voice and a unique way of communicating. And so we really want to engage you, and that's why we want to invite you to come and be part of Unstoppable Africa. This is a new initiative, the Global Africa Business Initiative with Unstoppable Africa, this amazing event in New York. We're really trying to get creative talent together with business leaders, together with government leaders, to try and build a sort of a new narrative around Africa in particular, and Africa, not just as Africa, but as a global powerhouse. When Africa wins, the world wins, and that's what we're doing. I also wanted to say, I'm going to be 60, believe it or not.
Look good.
In 4 or 5 months, in January, I'm going to be 60, and you guys have inspired me to become a YouTube creator. I should be doing this.
You and Dan.
And I watched your videos. I've been watching your videos thinking, well, if these guys can do it, I can do it. I was trained by the BBC, for goodness sake. I should be able to do it. If they can do it. And I started my YouTube channel on Friday.
There you go, subscribers.
What's the channel on it?
It's called, here's the thing, it's UN,
yes.
U, capital N, small, S-I-D-E, out, O-U-T, capital.
You went out.
Inside out. But anyway, I'm not and a voice, and that's all I have.
There you go, as I start.
What I do want to say is, you're very welcome, you're all welcome. And we would really like to engage you. And the other thing I want to just quickly say, more serious note, is that you all have your own ways of communicating. You're doing some serious things, some sort of fun things, some kind of wacky things, some humorous things. The UN, it's kind of a serious place. We've got 193 governments that come together and they advocate for things like human rights and world peace and protecting the environment and looking after refugees and that kind of thing. So it's kind of a serious thing, but I would just encourage you all to keep that in the back of your mind, because these are the big global issues that are so important. They're so important to so many people. We would love it if while you're being creative, you know, bear in mind those people that don't have shoes, that don't go to school, and think about what you can do to sort of support.
Very first, like, focus creative economy size event, YouTube creators. Share feedback, you know, to like the Gabby team so that hopefully we can, you know, do this next year. Bring back more creators. Her that said she wanted to be here next year. We can bring her back. And yeah, so like, you know, share your feedback, share your thoughts, comments online. Like, we really want to know, hopefully, that this session was helpful and we can do this again next year. So thank you guys so much. We have some like drinks, soda, tea, water, coffee. So feel free to like grab some stuff.